Markets Now is brought to you by the 5-year anniversary of Brevant Seeds. Here's to 5 years of not just winning, but collecting one game-changing W after another. See all of our wins at brevant.com/wins.
Cattle to the plus side on Tuesday, but grains mostly lower. Chip Nellinger is in with analysis. All right, Chip, we didn't see a lot of follow through on that big rally in the grains that we had on Monday. In the case of soybeans, we did get some China business confirmed. Was it a little bit of buy the rumor, sell the fact?
I think there's a few things there at work, Michelle. Obviously, buy the rumor, sell the fact very easily could have been part of it. Up near the highs of the day, we kind of kissed off the 200-day moving average in the bean market. And I think that the crop report next Monday is kind of looming large, so people don't really want to make too big of a bet going into that. So we're just left to drift a little bit here, without much additional news.
Let's talk about what we could expect in the WASDE report for soybeans. Will we see a little lower yield, but will it be offset by lower export demand? Because we're trailing on inspections, I think, by like 45%.
We are. That's the question. So far, the USDA has been a little bit slow to want to adjust those exports lower. Maybe with the understanding that there was some sort of a Chinese agreement and they're going to be a big purchaser of U.S. beans in the 2026 calendar year. So I'm not sure. I think that they're probably close on yields within a half a bushel. If they're not, if it's 1 bushel or more higher or lower, that's obviously going to be a shock to the market. But, in the case of the exports, I don't know if we're deep enough into the season yet for them to come off of first base, so to speak. So hopefully they don't, because if they do and they don't do much as far as a yield cut, that really could be kind of a bearish signal for the bean market.
Right. And again, we saw more confirmation of China business here today. So where do you have China's sales right now? Are they getting close to the 12 million metric tons?
Well, I mean, that's always a moving target, because as you look at the unknown sales from the last several weeks, you don't know for sure if that's China or not. So I think they're getting close to that. I think probably 10 million on the low side. There's some people thinking they're closer to 12. Remember, though, we kind of missed the mark just a little bit. It was supposed to be 12 million tons in calendar year 25, and now 25 million tons in 26. We just can't seem to get any clarity on that. That's part of the reason, in my opinion, the market just broke $1 off of the highs. Is there's still, at months after the fact, no confirmation of a trade deal, no details on how many beans they're going to take and what time slots, and it's really disappointing the market.
Is there also concern in the soybean market that with the developments in Venezuela now, that China may retaliate against the U.S. for that?
Well, I think that's an underlying fear. Yeah. I mean, as you read between the lines here, I'm certainly not a geopolitical expert, but it seems like after the fact that this Venezuelan situation may have been more of a kind of shot across the bow to the Chinese, as much as it was trying to, arrest a potential dictator and get drug flow stopped coming into the United States. And if that's the case, I'm not so sure that people are real comfortable that China, if we do see worsening tensions between the United States and China, are going to follow through with all the purchases that they've already made, or follow through on any promised purchases in 2026. So I think that is an issue. I think that it's going to take days to weeks to kind of figure out how this Venezuela thing is going to shake out and sift itself out through the world markets.
The other thing corn and soybeans have been trading is the South American weather situation. And right now it looks pretty good in Brazil, just a few problems in Argentina.
Yeah, that's, again, another underlying issue that's kind of holding us where we're at and keeping us from pushing back above that 200-day moving average. Brazil looks like it's got a record crop coming. In fact, a couple private estimates out even this week that sees those numbers increasing higher. I think 180 crop size in Brazil is starting to be a very realistic number. Get a little dry in some areas of Argentina, a little bit of rain in the forecast, but it's early enough, and it hasn't been a long enough developing situation down there just yet to be real supportive. But it does bear watching the situation in Argentina. You get another 2-3 weeks of dry weather, and you're going to start seeing some better support in bean prices, I think.
Yeah. So the corn market also kind of saw that market run up into the 200-day moving average and saw some profit taking maybe as well, or what?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. We couldn't hold the early gains in beans. Wheat tried to rally, but couldn't do anything. So in that environment, with the volume kind of shrinking a little bit here going into this upcoming Monday report, it just didn't give the corn market much ammunition to follow through to the upside. It's unfortunate and a little bit frustrating. I think corn actually has some good, potential fundamentals, great demand still on all fronts, but it just can't seem to ever put anything together with these other markets, meaning, corn tries to rally, wheat holds it back. Corn tries to rally, beans today reversed first and kind of drug corn off the highs. So we're just biding our time until this WASDE report on Monday.
Do you have any confidence at all that the WASDE report's going to give us any ammunition to get corn out of this trading range above the 200-day or not?
I have zero confidence that we're going to see that, although I have probably the largest conviction I've ever had in 30 plus years that there's several bushels too high on corn yields. I strongly believe that. I'll go to my grave believing that, but I have zero confidence that they're going to move off of the 186 level that we saw a month ago.
Okay, if they don't, are we fairly priced right now, or is the market already got 182, 183 factored in?
Well, I haven't seen, they've been a little late releasing the average estimate, so I haven't seen those. But my sense is that there's not many people thinking they're going to cut much off of 186. I think if they went down to 182, 181, certainly below 182, I think would be a big bullish shock, because I don't think there's many people out there that believe they will do that.
All right, we know another problem for the corn market has been the fact that the wheat market can't really find a bottom. And wheat, we have these big global supplies. But right now, do you think that the funds are doubling down as well? It looks like they're going back and extending that short position.
Well, they're not at record short positions, but they're certainly, not far from it. So they have been net short the wheat market for 3+ years now. To your point, we've just got so much bearishness built in. It's not a shock that we're, swimming in wheat supplies across the world. The one thing that I'm not sure if it will happen or not, that we aren't necessarily set up for, would shock the funds and maybe cause some short covering very quickly, is some of this strange weather we've been having. Corn went into dormancy early, a lot of cold weather, snow on top of that. And now some of that crop is out of dormancy with exceptionally warm temperatures. So if we see a cold snap here in January, February, really bitter cold across the plains, that could really be something that wakes the market up and causes some short covering. Otherwise, unfortunately, we're stuck in the mud with too big a supply of wheat in the world. And to your point, that is something that, again, spills over and remains a little bit of a headwind to the corn market as well.
What are your thoughts about reallocation of portfolios here to start the year? Monday felt like a money flow day, but was there any indication to you that maybe index funds might come in and buy any of the commodities or the grain space at all?
As far as the grains go, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. A lot of people think they've got upwards of 20,000 contracts of beans to sell. Also, maybe a fair amount of soy oil to rebalance. Otherwise, I think it's probably a moot point. But to your point earlier, I agree with you. Monday felt like anywhere you looked, metals, soft commodities, gold, or I should say coffee, sugar, cocoa, everything in the commodity space was higher on Monday. So, you have to wonder too, that could be something that's beyond the index fund situation. That could mean money on the sidelines that was in equities, maybe took profits on the equities markets at the end of last year, now maybe searching for a home. A lot of commodities out here, grains included, that are on the low side of recent valuations and could be deemed as cheap to investors. So I think you have two things going on: the index fund rebalancing, as well as the potential for a lot of money coming on the sidelines. Monday hopefully was an indication that there's going to be some money flow into January, on the long side in commodities, and hopefully that includes the grain markets.
Cattle market, new highs for the move again in the feeder market. We kind of got tapped out at resistance in the live cattle futures, but do you feel like feeders are just going to pull live cattle along through those resistance areas?
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. It feels like for the last month or so, that's what's happened as we've, screamed off of those lows. We had such a huge break, $80 off the all-time highs in feeders and 40 plus in live cattle. And now we screen back and gained back more than 2/3 of that, especially in the feeders. So to me, it's all about feeders. The cash market, you look at sale barn reports every day, they're just screaming higher. So I don't know why that would change in the near term. I think that there's a chance that feeders push into new all-time highs. I didn't believe that 2 months ago, but the strength of this rally and the demand looks like, to me, feeders could continue to lead us higher. If it does go higher, I think live cattle are going to pull along by the coattails of the feeder market and maybe challenge all-time highs as well.
Okay, well, you heard it here, folks. Chip thinks we're going to get back into those all-time highs, but do we do that in the first quarter of the year? Because that's when we're going to get into the tightest of these supplies, right?
Yeah, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to be the next 60 to 80 days. Again, I'm not saying become a perma-bull out there. Don't take your eye off the ball and not manage risk out there. But, the cattle market led by feeders still looks like it's on really strong footing to me.
What about the hog market? We started off lower today, but it seems like every time the cattle rally, hogs follow. Is that what's happening here? Because hogs fundamentally don't look that great, or, are the funds pushing this?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both. I think that you're still seeing a lot of spillover strength, from a demand side because of not that we're at all-time highs, but certainly, in the realm of all-time high beef prices still, even with the correction, over the last couple of months. And so I think you are seeing some benefit of that from the demand side. I think that the funds, are on the long side in here, it looks like, to start the new year off as well. So there's some give and take there, but, quietly, the hog market has held together, to your point, way better than what I expected. If cattle continue to move, it's going to drag, some more money on the sidelines and some more fun buying in the hog market.
All right, thanks so much, Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. That's Markets Now.
You were right.
You were right.
You were right.
Well, you were right. When you choose your seed brand, there's winning, and then there's...
You were right. Should have gone with Brevant seeds.
When you choose Brevant seeds, you don't just win. You get to be right. Don't just win. Win. Talk with your retailer or visit Brevant.com/win to get started.